Calling to order the Municipality of Monroeville's Citizens Night and Agenda Setting Meeting for April 5th, 2022. Could all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Could I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Griesau,
Here?
Mr. Hizzy,
Here.
Mr. Poach,
Here.
Mr. Stevenson,
Here.
Mr. Wolfram,
Here.
Mr. Adams,
Here.
Mr. Williams,
Here.
Mr. Biondo,
Here.
Mr. Little,
Here.
Mr. Ratcher,
Here.
Ms. Rock,
Here.
Mr. Hugus, Mr. Story, I'm sorry,
Here.
Mr. Sedlak,
Here.
Mr. Weldon.
Here.
Thank you. Welcome. We're going to start the meeting this evening with, I'm going to read into the record a proclamation that I'll be signing this evening on behalf of the library for National Library Week. Whereas libraries connect people to technology, providing access to broadband internet, computers, and training that are critical for accessing education and employment opportunities, and whereas libraries offer opportunities for everyone to connect with new ideas and become their best selves through access to multimedia content, programs, and classes in addition to books. Whereas today's libraries and their services extend far beyond the four walls of a building, and everyone is welcome to use their resources. Whereas in times of crisis, libraries and library professionals play an invaluable role in supporting their communities both in person and virtually. Whereas to adapt to the changing world, libraries are expanding their resources and continuing to meet the needs of their patrons. And whereas libraries have long served as trusted and treasured institutions for all members of the community, regardless of race, ethnicity, creed, ability, sexual orientation, gender identity, or socioeconomic status, and whereas libraries, librarians, and library workers are joining library supporters and advocates across the nation to celebrate National Library Week. Now therefore, be it resolved that I, Nicholas J. Griesau, Mayor of Monroeville, proclaim National Library Week, April 3rd through the 9th, 2022. During this week, I encourage all residents to connect with their library by visiting online, in person, to access resources and their services. And I'm signing it this evening. And we do appreciate everyone involved at the library. I know we have some board members here at the library and their employees and all the services that they provide. And this is something we proclaim every year around this time. And welcome.
Thank you. Could we get a picture?
Sure, yes,
Can we do that?
Give said proclamation, yes.
it is proclaimed.
Yes,
It is so proclaimed. For the record, we would like this.
You're on the board. You're on the board.
That's actually what I'm here for, Debbie.
Thank you.
Steve,
Stay
are you,
safe.
Steve,
Good to see you as well.
what, your liaison.
Well,
Okay.
if they want to ask.
Yeah.
You're on the board.
Well, I mean, they want him up there first, let him go.
Well, then, next meeting.
Maybe later. Heck,
Yeah.
One more to say.
Hammond Electric,
All right.
down in that area there.
stay later.
Thank you so much. We do really appreciate this very, very much. I'm Debbie Izok from Ward 1, representing the library as board president. And I have with me tonight,
I'm Mary Frances Thorne. I'm the Vice President of the Board representing Ward 3.
And I'm Emily Hoffman, ward representative from the 6th ward, and I'm our secretary. I'm just gonna pass out our April newsletter.
so we would just, at this time, we would like to sincerely thank council, Mr. Little, Mayor Griesau, for supporting the library and for allowing the staff to fully reopen at this time and to reinstitute all the important services that we provide to the community. So we are really thrilled to be open full-time at this point. And in fact, this week, for the first time since the pandemic hit, our Maker Lab will be opening officially for the first time. We will be doing a robot petting zoo class, which will be a lot of fun. And in the following weeks to come, there will be classes on 2D printing, laser cutting, quilting, and we have so many ideas. We're just so excited to be getting things going back open.
And please join us for National Library Week. We've got lots of surprises and goodies each day. Please stop up, pick up some treats, some puzzles made with our laser printers, and we have a lot of other goodies that too many to mention. Also, please do not forget that tomorrow is Library Giving Day. Yes, Library Giving Day. The library also depends upon your donations. Every penny helps to help us, the library, support all the activities that we do for this community. On Thursday, stop by the library to hear about how you can possibly volunteer with us. We're having special sessions at 10 a.m. and at 7 p.m. If you can't make any of the meetings, no worries. Please ask at the front desk at the library for an application and let us know if you have any questions. And also, please tell us what type of volunteer work you might be interested in. We have volunteer opportunities for those who would like to quietly reshelve books, who want to set up for some sort of programming, want to help out at our larger events such as the Book Fest and Fun Fest, and if you just want to bake cookies to bring to the library for our librarians or for any of our events, that would be very welcome as well. Thank you.
And just a few dates to keep in mind, because we are very busy and making sure that we are fully engaging the community. We have a big event coming up with our library friends on June the 12th in celebration of the Queen's Jubilee. We are going to be doing a high tea. So that should be a great event for everyone, and we look forward to getting out all of our fancy hats, white gloves, and tea sets for that. On July 9th, we will be hosting our second annual outdoor book sale, and on Saturday, August the 27th, we will be bringing back Fun Fest. We've been on hold for 2 years, and we have some really exciting activities planned for this year's Fun Fest. Last time we had almost 2,000 people at the event. So it's a great day for Monroeville, for the library, and for our community. And again, we thank council for your support in allowing us to do all of this.
And the additional parking lot now will be different than the last time it was open.
Yes.
You know, to do that too. And on Giving Day, can people bring books for the book sale contribution yet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet, but the book nook, the resale book nook is open all the time. So, but books are always being accepted for donation for that, but not for the book sale specifically. So thank you. We'll be back to you with more.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thanks, guys.
your hard work over there.
Thank you.
Great. Council and ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move over to our Citizens Night comment period. So anyone that would like to address council on any municipal matter, now would be your time to do that. We ask for residents to keep it to a 5-minute time limit in an
Nick,
effort
there's no
to,
one else in this room.
we're still
Mr.
keeping it to
Mayor, other than
5
me.
minutes.
So, you know,
You could state your name for the record and we'll
Georgiana
start the
Woodhull,
clock.
but I'll attempt to stick to the 5 minutes, even though there's no one else here.
Got to be consistent.
Okay, I want to hand out to each one of you. I had, at the last meeting, several questions that I couldn't get answered in reference to the easement at Alpine Park and the installation of that cathodic equipment that they were installing.
Thank you, ma'am.
Give me the rest, I'll hand them down. Yep, you're welcome.
I had brought up the fact that this Sunoco gas line runs the entire length of my property. It will be, I believe, 87 years old. And I pulled information from 1989, when Atlantic Richfield, which is Sunoco, came into Monroeville to clear their right-of-way. There was a question as to the amount of their easement. According to my deeds and the survey that I have, there's 3 and 9 feet. And this information, I'm going to read this letter, and first, this is dated October 5th of 1989 on the municipal letterhead, and it says, "Dear resident, as you are aware now, the Atlantic Richfield Company has a 40-foot wide refined gas line easement that extends 2 miles through the Haymaker Road area, starting at Hayes Junction Substation on Haymaker Road, traversing Princeton Drive, Harvard Road, Rush Valley Road, Ridgeview Drive, Penlear Drive, Briarcrest Road, excuse me, Haymaker Heights Swim Club, Regal Court to the Trafford Borough line." As I said, this is an 87-year-old gas line. "A new federal law mandates this easement be visible from the air for inspection purposes, and that this easement area be easily accessible in case of an emergency. The Atlantic Richfield Company is planning to comply with this mandate by clearing trees, shrubs, debris, and other obstructions. To better inform and protect the interests of the residents of the Haymaker Road area, the Municipality of Monroeville will sponsor a town meeting to be held Saturday, October 14th, 1989 at 10 a.m. in Monroeville Council Chambers, Monroeville Municipal Building, 2700 Monroeville Boulevard, Monroeville, Pennsylvania. Representatives from the Atlantic Richfield Company will be in attendance to explain this project and answer any questions. All residents are encouraged to attend this important meeting. Sincerely, Municipality of Monroeville, Anthony J. LaGorga, Councilman, Ward 1. I'd like to ask if it would be possible, Mayor, for you to have a town hall meeting, invite Sunoco, the representatives, whoever met with Mr. Little and Mr. Ratcher at this behind closed door meeting, if they would have a public meeting so that I can get the questions that I have and the concerns, and I can guarantee you that I will pack this room with people who are interested in this gas line and concerned. Would you be willing to do that?
I think I'd be willing to invite them to one of our regular council meetings, or one of our citizens' night meetings.
Sunoco, you would be willing to do that?
If they were willing to, I'd be willing to invite them if they're willing to attend.
Well, if they're not willing to attend, they have according to the information that I have, Mr. Little, do you still have a copy of this that I had given to you previously?
I may, Georgianne. I'm not positive.
Okay, we should. I mean, I did it at a public meeting as part of the record. This is sent to me, to my address. I've given Mr. Little a copy of it. And this is from Energy Transfer, and this is Sunoco. And one of the reasons that I'm so concerned about this, as I said, is they have a responsibility, Sunoco, to educate the public. And this was done behind closed doors. I don't understand.
I'm getting confused here, Ms. Woodall. So are you talking about the pipeline behind your house?
I'm talking about, it goes to...
Or are you talking about the
I know
the
that-
cathodic?
I'm talking about the gas line that goes through Ward 1, from my house, through Ward 2,
Right, but what are you?
through these neighborhoods, and, you know, and this is...
Well, what meeting are you talking about as far, I guess I'm not clear on what meeting are you saying that
I'm
that
saying
Sunoco was in
whatever
with Mr. Little and Mr. Ratcher?
Mr. Little, our solicitor, don't you think that that should have been at a public meeting as far...
What meeting are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you
Well, how
talking
did you
about?
enter into this lease agreement? Did you give
What
them the...
lease agreement?
Did
If
you...
you could back up and just kind of...
Okay, did you have extend the easement to 25 feet in
Well, she's
Alpine
talking about
Park?
the Alpine Park.
Are you talking about the
easement.
Alpine Park?
Yes.
Oh, that's the replacement of the cathodic.
Right, and I had asked if that was, if there was a problem, if they had placed that equipment anywhere else along that 2-mile stretch. If,
It was just the Alpine Park portion that we were discussing.
okay, and why are they placing that there?
From my understanding, that is a maintenance type device that's put on the, near the pipe, so that would corrode before the pipe would. That's my understanding
Okay,
of
well,
it.
I'm going to read this to you, and once again, this is from Sunoco, special protective measures. Certain pipelines are designated as being high consequence areas. That's the area this 2-mile stretches, from what I'm told. Due to their location in high population or environmentally sensitive areas, in accordance with regulations, we have developed and implemented a written integrity management program that addresses the risk on certain pipeline segments. Baseline and periodic assessments are conducted to identify, evaluate potential threats to our pipelines. Any significant defects discovered are remediated, and the company monitors program effectiveness so that the modifications can be recognized and implemented. We are in a high consequence area, this entire 2-mile stretch. And when I had asked, is there gas going through that 87-year-old line? I had asked you that, Mayor. Nobody could answer it, not my ward person. You couldn't answer it, and it's a
I mean,
concern.
we assume there's gas going through it.
Well, a question too, so in Alpine Village, we're talking about a natural gas line, no?
Petroleum.
It's petroleum for Alpine Village as well, okay, to do
Yeah, that
that
is.
as well, because the rest of this is gasoline. The one that
Sunoco
we're-
gasoline,
The
correct.
Sunoco is a gasoline transmission, not natural gas, so we're on the same page, okay?
This is a
gasoline.
petroleum line.
Yeah, petroleum, yes. The one that we're talking about here, it has a monitoring station on Haymaker Road for it.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I'm just clarifying, Georgiana, which one we're talking about.
yeah, Georgie, so, Mr. Wielden, do you have any insight on this?
It is more than just gasoline, it's liquid petroleum. Sometimes it's kerosene.
They change it.
Change it, but it's a flammable
It-
liquid.
It is in continual use.
Yeah.
It's in continual use. Now,
Okay,
what we did at, I'm sorry, if I could just, because
Okay,
I'm trying to get to
sure.
the bottom of this as well.
Okay.
But whenever we're talking about the Alpine Village part of it, it's the same pipe that Mrs. Woodall's discussing, but it's just the section in Alpine Park that's what we were discussing.
That protection bed does a very long segment of pipe. I don't know how many lineal feet it actually protects, but the cathodic bed in Alpine Park protects a large portion of that line.
Okay.
And the reason they picked Alpine Park is because it's open space. There's no houses there, and it is most effective if the bed is perpendicular to the line, not parallel to it. So at that particular junction, they could get a long perpendicular section of that anode bed.
So I guess we want to get your questions answered, but I guess I don't understand what all your questions are. Is there a way
Well,
maybe you could,
I had asked if there was gas flowing through this line,
and yes, there is.
okay, because during the seismic testing, there was not gas going through this line. It was shut down for
Well, like Mr.
so-called
Wilden said, and I think
maintenance.
it fluctuates. I mean, is there gas going through it right this second as we speak? We don't know. Is it something, we don't know what is through there. How do we find that answer? I'm not sure. Sunoco would know. But
Okay,
we don't-
well,
they don't
that's
give
why
us
I'm
that
saying, if
information.
you could set up a meeting here and invite Sunoco, you know, I mean, this is an 87-year-old
Yeah, the-
line. Are
well,
they
they're-
gonna, was there a problem that prompted them?
No,
to-
that is to preserve the line. That's why they put those things in.
Well, I would ask you for a moment, I realize my 5 minutes are up, to turn to page 2. This was a meeting on October the 14th of 1989. And just go to the middle of the page where Mr. Markosik, which is Joe Markosik, referred to the federal regulations and was concerned with Section 195.440 regarding public education, which requires a pipeline company owner to have continuing education on an ongoing basis. He indicated that this was not done in this case when they came in here to clear right away. And honestly, you know, I believe it should have been done. They should have come in here when you had that on the agenda for that easement and allowed people to ask questions then.
The representative was here that evening.
Well, why weren't they answering the questions? I mean, I'm asking you questions. You're telling me he was sitting in the audience here and not
Not the
responding?
meeting you were asking questions, but whenever it was in front of council for either it was the Thursday or the Tuesday meeting, there was a representative here.
Okay, well,
But why don't we do this? Why don't we,
I mean, I honestly,
Well, we
I will
can
go
do-
door to door. You know, I think that every single person living along this gas line, because, you know, I mean, I've got articles here, Nick, I know you're not interested, I know you're not from around here, but I'd like to give them to you so you understand the concern.
why would I not be interested, and why would it matter if I'm not around here? I didn't grow up here, but I've been honored to be elected as mayor, which means I have a vested interest in the community. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done it.
Right. And, I mean, I honestly think that there needs to be some sort of representative here.
Well, I think what we can maybe
Questions?
do is reach out to
And because
Sunoco.
honestly, I'm not gonna, I mean, there's a concern. And, you know, if I have to go door to door and just hand these out so people understand. And I think that every single person living, some of these, this gas line are just 15 feet from somebody's deck. You know, it's a concern. They talked about condemning this line back when this meeting took place.
Well, we can reach out to Sunoco. I'm sure there are some sort of reports that they have to give on an annual basis of the status of their lines. We can look into those kind of things I'm sure that there are things that they furnish to the state regarding these matters.
Okay, and I'm gonna give a copy of this, and maybe,
I received those too.
you receive them? I think that every single person living along that gas line should have a copy of it. And I also, you know, in my opinion, an 87-year-old gas line, you know, if they came in here and said, you know, we're gonna replace this entire gas line, it would be a happy day. Thank you.
You are welcome.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
just for the record, I want to make clear, I didn't have any meetings with Sunoco. I did get an easement document in my office. I reviewed it, I made comments, I passed it back along to the municipality, but I've not spoken to anybody. I did meet the gentleman, you introduced me, Paul, the night he was here. That's the extent of my involvement, so,
Likewise.
yeah.
Yeah, and for the record, yeah, it was, once again, they approached the municipality to put in this protective.
I believe his name was James Karasmitis, something like that.
It sounds right, yeah.
And he did attend the meeting for the easement in the park. But nobody had any questions for him, so he never spoke.
Very good. Council, I'm going to leave the floor open for citizens' comments. Seeing none, we're going to close the comment period and move over to our agenda-setting meeting. There's a correction on the agenda. There was not an executive session held this evening. So you can strike that from the agenda. And council, we're looking at our minutes, the minutes of the budget meeting of October 28th, 2021, the budget meeting of November 4th, 2021, the Citizens Night meeting of March 3rd, 2022, the council agenda setting meeting of March 3rd, 2022, and the regular council meeting of March 8th, 2022. Any questions, comments,
We're gonna need two
additions,
separate
or
motions.
corrections?
Gonna need two separate motions because some of us weren't here for the 2021s.
Yeah, that'll be on Tuesday, correct?
So we can't do that, but we can do the other three. So, but there has to be two different motions.
Yep, and we will, we'll follow up with that next Tuesday when we vote on these. Any other, any additions or corrections on these items, on the minutes, council? Very good. You have your reports of the tax collections. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Seeing none. Payroll report. Council, any questions? List of bills and budget transfers. Any questions about list of bills or the budget transfers, council members? Seeing none. Moving down to our bids and proposals, in your white section of the packet, the 2022 commodity bids. Mr. Little.
Yes, each year, this time, we award commodity bids. That's things like aggregate, fencing, rail, baseball infield mix, mulch, all sorts of things. Just as a note, last year, as we get audited about every other year or every third year, what's called a liquid fuels audit. And liquid fuels is the money you pay at the gasoline pump, and every municipality and county gets a share of that. Monroeville gets approximately $800,000. We were audited, and suffices to say, there was a finding that in 2018, we did not read the commodity bids into the minutes. Now, there are close to 200 line items here, and I protested with the auditors from the state, and to my happiness, they backed off, and we did not have to transfer money from one account to another to the liquid fuels fund, because it was a little bit silly to sit and read, and I sent them the video of the meeting back in 2018, and council did discuss the commodity bids at that work session, and all they did was look at the minutes of the council meeting, and they thought council just passed it without looking at anything. So, that little story is why I have to spend a little bit of time here. Not that I'm going to read every line item. I'm certainly not going to do that, but I am going to mention the companies that have the low bids in each of the line items. For crack sealant, we had one bidder, Air Vac Equipment, and they're the lone bid. And just as a note, any elected body in the state, if there's a lone bid, council has the option, if they wish, to rebid that, or they can accept that bid. In the past, we've always usually accepted it at the recommendation of what the price is from Mr. Hugus and Mr. Story. AirVac was our lone bid. Baseball infield mix.
Sorry, Mr. Little, I don't mean to belabor it. Mr. Story, did we use this company before, the crack sealer?
Yeah, they're actually a pretty common vendor of ours.
Okay, very good.
Okay, baseball infield mix, we received no bids. Bituminous paving materials, we received from four companies: Tresco, Russell Standard Corporation, Highway, and Hanson Aggregates, and the two low bids from items 1 to 10 were Tresco and Russell Standard. Again, I'm not going to read all the 10 line items. Fence materials, we received one bid from Allegheny Fence Construction, and this is a public document. If anybody wants it, they can fill out a right to know, and they can get the document. On guide rail, we had two bidders, Chemung Supply and Allegheny Fence Construction, and there is a variance, or various, I should say, various low bids with depending on what item from items 1 to 15. Reinforced concrete products, we received one bid, and that was Culverts Incorporated. They're the lone bid. On wood safety surfacing material, one bid from J.A. Rudder. On sign material, we received three bids, one from Vulcan Signs, one from Osborne, which they did not submit a bid bond, so they are discounted. Chemung Supply Corporation, so in Chemung Supply did not bid. They only have one line item out of 48 line items where they were the low bid. But the vast majority will go to Vulcan Sign. Small paving in place, that is your cold patch and hot patch asphalt. We received no bids. Crushed stone, we had a lone bid, Hanson Aggregates. Storm sewer grates, frames, risers, and lids, we received 3 bids, one from Chemung Supply, one from Culverts, one from EJ USA. And items 1 through 19, there is various low bids in each of the items. So depending on what item is ordered, that company will get that low bid on that line item that council sees in their packet. Sewer pipe, we received 2 bids, one from Chemung Supply, one from Culverts, and items 1 through 8, Chemung Supply was the low bid, and items 9 through 13, Culverts was the low bid. Chemung did not bid on items 9 through 13. And that is the commodity bids for 2022, and council, it'll be on as a motion to accept the commodity bids unless council wants to deviate from that. Any questions from council?
I mean, we can do it all just
Yeah.
as one low bid, or
Yeah.
you ask, and we had to do each and every one, okay.
I have a question.
Sure.
On this sort pipe, this is not sewage, this is stormwater, is that correct? Not sewage,
No, that's storm.
it's stormwater.
Yeah, we don't do,
Probably
so
ought
that's
to
for the,
change the heading on that then.
Yeah,
Let
that's
people
for
know
the storm sewer.
Stormwater instead of sewage.
Any other questions, council? We'll consider this next Tuesday. Moving over to our consent agenda, new business, 18-3-ST, Joseph Knapp. Mr. Little.
Okay, this is a somewhat of a resubmittal here. I don't know what year that the developer submitted on Old Frankstown Road.
2018.
2018, okay, but
The applicant's here? Okay, great.
yeah, Joseph M. Knapp, applicant is requesting site plan approval to construct 5,606 square feet of warehouse building and associated site amenities. The property is known as Lot 1 in the Moya Industrial Park and identified as parcel 741D42H in the M1 Plan Industrial Zoning District. Applicant is requesting reapproval of the site plan. Council approved this site plan, November 13th, 2018, and reapproved it in December 10th, 2019. They have submitted an attached letter, which is in council's packet, requesting to have it on the docket again.
Sir, if you could state your name for the record.
Richard Terrett, Survey Design.
Richard?
You said everything yourself. It's, this place has been going on for a while because I think it's basically because in the beginning, they were doing a lot of reviews and getting everything corrected, all those fixes done by your engineer and so forth. Then the pandemic hit, and then nothing happened during that pandemic for 2 or 3 years, okay? Then we had to wait a whole year or so just to get our permit for the highway exit permit. We just got it just recently. Took a year and 3 months to get the HOP permit from the state. We just got that about, a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, was it weeks?
Yeah, we just got that permit. So now we're ready to start, and they asked us to come back and get a reapproval. on
Great,
it.
if you could just discuss the project and orient us, we'll get the camera up there.
Sure.
Quick question.
Yes.
What has changed from
Nothing's changed.
2019
It's been the same.
today?
It's been the same. The only thing's changed, we had to wait for our
Nothing on the plan has changed at all?
Nope, not that I know of.
Jared, if you get a picture of the map there.
Can you see it?
Jared, can you zoom in, please?
Yeah, you can't see it. There we go.
Because we don't have that one.
Nothing's changed.
I think Paul's reviewed it himself, and nothing has changed since we've had this.
Correct. It's the same plan.
Same plan.
It just ran out of time.
Just ran out of time. HOP permit took forever.
Is there anything on the property, the parcel right now?
No, nothing's on the property, nothing.
Council, you have a footprint of this in your packet.
Where'd you hide it?
Whose fault was it you run out of time?
Ask the government.
Huh? The
the
government?
government.
Because of COVID and everything?
COVID, all that stuff, and the HOP. What's that? HOP permit, it took almost over a year to get that permit to get done, so.
So it wasn't nothing, it was your fault. You was trying to get things through.
Tell my wife.
The red tape just bogged you
Then
down.
then you had the pandemic, couldn't do anything for 3 years.
Okay,
Ran out of time.
okay, thank you.
Mr. Wielden, any issues from your department or from the municipality stance?
None. There were some erosion control issues and some stormwater issues, some traffic issues back in 2018, 2019. They've all been addressed.
Okay, and is anything along those lines, is there anything changed in
No.
ours or the state's rules, laws, ordinances that
No,
they would have to
none.
do differently?
We haven't had any ordinance revisions that would affect this project.
Okay.
And what's the closest cross streets to the sectional Frankstown?
Davidson Road, yes.
Davidson at the bottom.
You have to come on.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, if you could, Mr. Knapp,
What's that?
if you,
Oh.
come on up here.
Yeah.
You just say your name for the record if you don't
It's
mind.
Joe Knapp.
Joe, okay, great.
If you're coming down Old Frankstown, I don't know if you're familiar, you get all the way to right before Davidson Road, it's right there on the left. It's right before that bridge, there's like a little bridge before you hit, and it's like right there. And then Jay Martin owns the place right next to it.
Thank you.
And what's the proposed warehouse use for?
Just, storage.
Storage, okay.
Yeah, you know, like, whatever, just any kind of equipment storage or, inside storage.
Okay. Council, any questions?
Are you gonna use it? You gonna rent it out?
Probably rent it out, but I may use a portion of it, cause my place is in Penn Hills. And, just for like, maybe, if I can't rent it all, I might use a small portion of it, you know, to keep equipment inside, or, plus I do snow removal, so I might keep a truck in there for, cause all my snow removal's out here.
Okay, very good. Anything else you guys want to add?
I think I'm good.
All right, so we'll consider this next Tuesday.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do we have to be here next Tuesday?
Nope, you don't have to. I think, any questions that, I don't think any questions are going to come up between now and then, but certainly staff has your contact information, but it's not necessary for you to attend.
Sounds good, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Appreciate
Thanks, Paul.
Council, moving over to our motions, we have two to consider for next Tuesday. Mr. Little.
Yeah, motion. The first one is a motion to award the zoning ordinance review requests for proposal, request for proposal, RFP agreement to Strategic Solutions LLC with Gateway Engineers Incorporated for the total project sum of $27,584. Council tabled this motion at the March 8th, 2022 regular meeting. Any questions, discussion from council?
Yeah, Council, this is tabled from last meeting, but we can discuss it at this agenda-setting meeting if anyone has any questions or comments about this item.
I'm not real sure why we tabled it last time. I would open up with that.
If I may, there was some questions on, there was a review that needed to be done by the county that wasn't done yet, number one. Number two, there was some concern about the amount for that review, and that's why it was tabled.
When you say the amount for the review, you mean the proposals?
$27,000?
Yeah, okay.
The price for the service, you're saying?
Yes.
Is there, Mr. Wielden, is there something that the county needs to do, or is that actually in this whole
It's
process?
part of the process. It has to go to the county for their review and approval, or the municipality can adopt it.
Okay. And that was something that was brought up a couple times as far as the planning commission being involved. There are multiple steps for these type of things. So there was planning commission involved for many years. I know there's some residents that spoke about that before. Mr. Williams, you were involved with that as well when you were on the planning commission. They were involved with getting it up to this point. Mr. Wielden, extensively went through it and did updates to it as well. So getting it to an outside firm is just another one of the steps, but also, too, that would once again come back to our current planning commission, go through citizens' night, agenda setting meetings in front of council, go to the county. It would be all these different things before we would actually adopt this.
And the proposal from Strategic Solutions incorporates all of that work into that 27,000.
Okay,
That's part of what they're proposing to help us with.
okay.
And they were the low bidder.
Yes.
And I mean, we have there are two other bids, I'm sorry, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so council, this is tabled for next Tuesday. I mean, I would encourage council to act on this and actually move it forward, and I would recommend that we do outsource this to a third party. You know, I appreciate, you know, all the hard work that the planning commission does and what our residents do there. Certainly I've appreciated what Mr. Wheeldon has done up to this point. But I think Monroeville's in a good position to update this ordinance as far as national trends and, you know, things, whenever Monroeville was designed in the 50s, things are a lot different now. I think it'd be very valuable to have an outside company that deals with this on a national level to maybe look at things a little bit differently than what we have in the past. I think it's money well spent. We haven't done it in many, many, many years. So I would encourage council to act on this next Tuesday.
And just briefly, correct me if I'm wrong, but the planning commission's still gonna be involved.
Absolutely.
And they'll have a say as well. I mean, we can use what we've used in what we came up with in the past when Bob and Georgiana were on the planning commission, correct?
And me.
And Bob, Mr. Stevenson.
Sorry, Mr. Stevens, I didn't mean to leave you out there.
Thank you, that's all right.
The other boss.
I thought you were in the zoning hearing board at that point. Or were you on the planning
I was
commission?
on both.
with-
Believe it or not, I was on there I think
Really?
prior to you, Bob, briefly
Really?
working on this, so.
Both.
I mean, is this company gonna add, delete things off the previous draft for the ordinance?
Sorry.
This company,
Strategic,
Strategic Solutions, are they adding, deleting, or just reviewing?
I think it's all of the above.
well, they're going to be reviewing. Paul Wilton has done the vast majority. He and, going back to 2011, at least in my memory, and the planner that we had, Leo, I forget Leo's last name.
Kafka?
Pardon me?
No.
Mueller.
Mueller.
Mueller, okay, what he did in 2011 when we hired him, and then the planning commission, and then Paul has picked up on that. Basically, what we're looking for, what the RFP is stating exactly what the mayor said. We're looking for somebody to do a deep dive, if everything that has been done before is correct with planning standards, the way we see them today. And also from different kind of innovative techniques in planning. And you can talk about the mall as a good example, depending on what's going on at the mall with respect to if it's one of these days would turn into a multi-use development, what's going on. And I'm not saying they are, don't misunderstand the public. I'm not saying that the mall is. And also what's going on over at the old Westinghouse building, which is owned by Nextier, which they bought that 3-4 years ago, company out of New York, and what their plans are for it. We're looking to assist the developers to enhance Monroeville, to make destination points, to make mixed unit developments, to have different overlay districts. This is what we're looking for with another company coming in here and saying, you may want to do this on Mosside Boulevard. You may want to do this on Haymaker Road. These are the kind of things we're looking for.
And if I may, I mean, I think at the time, whenever the Bobs and Georgiana were on, I believe Mr. Shufo was, and I can't remember Mr. Shufo. He was Mr. Shufo to me. Mark was, he had been here for a long time, and we were still using a contractor, Mr. Mueller, to help develop the ordinance. So it's not that Paul isn't doing a great job, it's that this is what you do when you are redesigning an ordinance, if I'm correct.
The public needs to know that as we spent many years and many hours on this through the planning commission, that we changed planning commission members through the process. And when a new planning commission member come on, we did not go back and start at square one, because we would have never got nothing done. It would have never been done. It was already a long 12, 15 years. We're pushing to get it done, and it's time to get it done. And one of my questions was, when Georgiana brought up about the planning commission, I went and talked to Paul, and he assured me that he did go to the planning commission and talked with them, and got any input from them that he could, and he did most of the work on it. Correct?
Correct.
So I was satisfied with that, and but it's been a lot of years, and it's just time to, especially with mixed-use facilities in Monroeville. We're doing that with them all now with that vet center. It's a great use for that property.
Yeah, so I think it's an important document. You know, it's one of the most important documents for a community to have a zoning ordinance that's written properly and done properly, and to take in all these factors that we talked about. And there were some residents got up before about, you know, gas and oil and those type of things. And I think those are important things to look at and to kind of get with the times. So I think it's money well spent. In the commodity bids, I think we're spending more in gravel next year than we would on this. I mean, this is money well spent. So this is something that we can consider next Tuesday.
Is there, Paul, for you, is there a time that this outside consultant is going to take to do the review?
Yes, it's in their proposal. They have a chart in there that breaks it down into 3 or 4 sections, and they have, you know, how many months for each portion.
So we're talking 6, 7 months then?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, council?
The initial draft was ready for 2015 approval, and it didn't get approved. Is that correct?
I don't think it was quite there.
There was a lot of work done at that point. Lee Mueller, it wasn't ready to be adopted. I started work in Monroeville in 2017, and that's when I picked it up, and I started where they left off. And they had a lot of good information that I used for a base, and I just added to it. But like some of the things that I had questions about that are popping up more, you know, like casinos, breweries, distribution centers, overlay districts, medical clinics, medical marijuana clinics. So there's some things that, you know, are contemporary issues that I think hiring an outside expert on would benefit Monroeville, you know, to make sure we don't get bad development.
I agree, it needs to get done. I just want to compare the draft you have now, the current draft, and when this company's done with it, to see what they added, deleted, or whatever, to see if our money was well spent.
Oh, yeah, we would definitely, absolutely, we would definitely do that to compare. Because we don't want to send it out and for them to say, oh, this is great. You did a great
Exactly.
job,
Well,
and
yeah.
and that's not going to be the case. I mean, it was 7 years ago, 2015 now, and a lot of things have changed, as Mr. Wilden mentioned, and, you know, commerce is evolving, it's changing, and Monroeville's got to keep up with that, or we're going to fall behind.
Yeah, in the draft that I'm working on, I have, it's got to be 100 questions. I have Post-it notes all throughout it and sections highlighted, and there's just things that I want to talk to an expert about. So it's definitely going to change.
Any other questions or comments, council? Seeing none, so we will consider this on Tuesday. Once again, it is tabled, so in order for it to be acted upon, it would have to be removed from the table and then voted on. We have another motion this evening, or for Tuesday. Mr. Little.
Yeah, motion to install a street light on utility pole 1498S located at 111 Rosso Drive. We have a petition, council has a petition dated March 15th, 2022, from the people on Rosso Drive. Mr. Hizzy, you want to add anything?
No, it's a very dark area. The people don't understand what Rosso is. It's the last road to the left off of Tilbrook. And if you come to this, that's that last Monroeville stop sign. As both sides of the road come down, very steep, about 3.5 foot down to the road, there's nowhere for people to walk. So they take Rosso Drive around to go to Pitcairn, because they go up to the dog park to walk. They're just asking to light up the street because there is no street lights over there. Just asking to be safe.
And with all street lights, are they all LED now, the new ones installed?
The new ones installed will be LED.
Okay. Mr. Hizzy, do you know if the actual pole, the homes that are right beside that pole, are they in favor of this?
Yeah, yes, Mayor, if you look, every house on that street, the people even in Pitcairn, the top of, was it 14th Street wanted to actually sign it too, because they don't have no lights at all up there. So they were very happy that we are trying to install some lights.
There you go. Looks like
It's
like-
more or less a safety issue right now for the people.
Absolutely.
Did our engineer look at that and agree that that's the correct position for that light?
You can only put it on the poles, Bob,
Right.
they have, that's the only pole over there.
That's only pole.
That's it.
That
Yeah.
answers my
It's the
question.
best one, it's the best poll, absolutely.
The pole.
Yeah.
The pole, it's the
The
one.
pole, okay.
And it looks like we have 14 signatures here on that petition. Very good. We'll consider that at the regular council meeting. Resolutions, we have 5 this evening. Mr. Little.
Okay, a resolution authorizing the advertising of bids for the 2022 road resurfacing program from the attached list of roadways, for the attached list of roadways throughout Monroeville. Council, you have a spreadsheet of those roads listed from the Public Works and Engineering Department
Mary Road list.
on what is going to be fog sealed, seal coated, and milled and overlaid. And there is a map there also of outlined where these roads are. And Mr. Hugus went through last month on the Pacer, it's Pacer, isn't it?
Pazer.
Pacer,
Pazer.
criteria on how roads are evaluated here in Monroeville. Total cost there, estimate anyway, it's just an estimated cost,
You've been on the,
is approaching $2 million. And we had a discussion about this at the final budget meeting about what it would be. We had, some council members wanted $2 million, and other council members were somewhat silent on it. So, but I put in the budget, in my budget message, $1.5 million. It's at the pleasure of council on how they want to approach this.
So, Mr. Little, what was actually voted on? What was in the budget whenever?
Well, in my budget, well, this segues into the capital improvement program, which is a work in progress. And in my budget message, I put in $1.5 million, and that's what was approved.
just a quick question on comment too, so, and it's actually more towards Jamie. When we've gone through this in the last few years, for the benefits of my other colleagues to come back on here, when you looked at the number, and we did the rating system that's on the list that's here, phaser system, pardon me, too, but we generally tend to try to get to that 34% of roads number, or something like that, as I recall. We try to get to a general level that we're at least keeping ahead slightly, as opposed to just maintaining the roads that are overdone. So, my question is, clearly, this more accurately reflects, yes or no, our ability to kind of get ahead of the project, get ahead of the program, as opposed to just maintaining.
I would say we probably, it's more so driven by how much funding is allotted, and then we try to get the best bang for our buck with
Sure.
the money that we have. In this case, if you're asking what percentage of the roads, about 20% of the road mileage will get treated in some fashion. Probably the one thing that might swing that is, in terms of crack sealing. It kind of depends on how far that gets due to manpower and that sort of thing. But, yeah, about 20% of the roads, which is a good number.
And then we locked in the costs for the products already, have we not?
Some of the products, you've already gone through the commodity bids, so for the
Yep.
hot mix asphalt and for the crack sealing materials, that's already been voted on, and that's locked in.
Are those competitive with what we've had in the past?
About? They're not too bad. Crack sealing is up like 18% from last year. The paving, not so much, but across the board, most of our commodities went up pretty significantly.
Right.
last year.
Across the
Which one?
board, everything went up.
In terms of paving itself, like the road paving program, probably estimating like 12% increase over last year, which isn't as bad as I thought, but, I mean, everything's getting more expensive.
If I may, Tim, you mentioned 1.5 and 2 million. Looking at this document, 1,944,755.90, if we did the 2 million, we could do this whole project.
Yeah, I mean, we developed it based on $2 million.
Yeah, I mean, well, really, it's at the pleasure of council because, yes, it was approved at $1.5 million in the budget. Now, this is a big-ticket item. It's the biggest ticket item that we spend our money on each year. There's a lot of line items and a lot of capital items that we have been spending money on, and, you know, you estimate what it's going to be, and sometimes it's over, but you still got to do it. And I'll get to that under my report on one item here with the municipal building. So I look at it as it's at the pleasure of council what they want to do. So,
I do recall there was talk of 2 million somewhere at a meeting. And I talked to Mr. Yugis, and he recalled that 2 million number.
yeah, that was at the final budget hearing on November
Okay.
4th.
Yeah, so there was, we looked at the minutes, there was two members that mentioned that, but it wasn't in a motion fashion, it wasn't voted on, it wasn't.
I missed
And
that.
was that an oversight when it was time to vote, possibly, you know?
yeah.
But it is at the pleasure of council. So, Mr. Little, would that, or Mr. Ratcher, would that be, if council wanted to go down that road, pun intended, that, would they be opening up the budget? Is that what they'd be doing, or just doing a budget transfer?
Well, it might be a budget transfer, depending on, Mr. Little's probably a better judge of what he has.
I don't think you need to open
Doesn't
up
matter
the
to me.
budget. I don't
Yeah.
think you need to open up the budget, no. Because right now, you consider this a capital, and our capital improvement program is a work in progress. And for several years now, we've been spending money, as I've outlined in the capital program in my budget message, and it has been approved there. And at times, other than the road paving program, there are items that we do purchase, vehicles that are more than what maybe we estimate that are in the budget message. So the road program would parallel with that. And no, and I don't think we need to open up the budget, no.
Okay. Simple.
Well, council, this is something that you can, there's a lot of information here, we can review it, and we can discuss it on Tuesday, and if there's adjustments to that, the monetary aspect of it, we could take care of that at that point. And then also that question would also be to Mr. Little is if they wanted to increase it $500,000, is there money to do so?
That's my question.
Or-
Is there money to
Actually,
do
more of
it?
a question for Joe.
That's
Josie.
always the question. Yes, there is the money there, as when we pass the budget, we have a pretty good fund balance. And the reason we have a pretty good fund balance, and that I've said ad nauseum over the last 5 years, and during the pandemic, to add that, we put a moratorium on spending extraneous money, and as a matter of fact, completing the zoning ordinance is part of that, because we didn't know where we were going to be at the end of the pandemic, and hopefully we are at the end of the pandemic with revenue. Well, fortunately, us and the vast majority of other municipalities have weathered it better than they thought, and plus we do have some money, from the federal government to the tune of $2.7 million. So to answer your question, Mike, yes, we have the money, and it is money well spent. I mean, it's one of the core missions that we do in a municipality is pave roads, that and law enforcement. So
Pick up the garbage.
it depends on how much you want to spend. It's up to council.
Very good. Well, we will discuss this on Tuesday. Mr. Little, our next resolution.
Yeah, a resolution confirming that the Municipality of Monroeville has formally requested Act 152 funds and has designated an official to perform the required duties between the Municipality of Monroeville and the Allegheny County Economic Development, and assures the provision of local matching funds in compliance with all other provisions of Act 152. This is also tied to the third item here, the resolution, and this has to do with demolition of houses here in Monroeville.
Can you give us a short definition of Act 152?
Well, it's the CDBG, Community Development Block Grant Program, which is about the only two items that Monroeville and a lot of other communities can only get because we're not a distressed municipality or anything dealing with the ADA, American Disabilities Act, if we wanted to go out and put in depressed, at corners of sidewalks, depressed sidewalks, anything dealing with ADA. That's the money we use, for instance, with the sliding, the automatic doors we got was with this kind of money because it was ADA money. That and demolishing homes are about the only two areas that we can use this money for.
Any questions or comments? Next item.
Okay, like I said, the next resolution is tied to a resolution that the Municipality of Monroeville determines and declares that indicated structures meet the blighted property definition under Act 152 and will undergo local agency condemnation proceedings.
Very good. Next item.
Okay, the next one is a resolution adopting the Clover Senior Housing Apartments Sewage Planning Module. This is obviously for the senior housing over 55 that we approved several months ago. It's their planning module.
Council, questions?
Question on that. If it's a sewage planning module, why is not the municipal authority involved in that? Means the municipality don't work with the sewage. It's a municipal authority that takes care of the sewage, correct?
Yes, but the
Yep.
municipality still has a responsibility for approving the planning module. It's considered part of the development
Okay.
and land use process, and so it's council's responsibility to make those approvals. And then, obviously, once it becomes operational, it goes over to the municipal authority.
Okay, thank you.
Can I add one thing?
Yeah.
The sewer authority does review it to make sure that the lines have capacity for the sewage. It's about a 20-page document that the engineer puts together, and MMA reviews it. The municipality is considered the planning agency, and we have to sign off on it.
So it's kind of a joint venture then, so
Correct.
they are involved. Okay, good.
But
Thank
you review these too, though, Paul?
Yes.
Any issues with this particular one
No,
in particular?
typically, by the time it gets to us, it's already been through DEP, MMA, the health department. There's about 6 agencies involved.
Very good. Next item.
Okay, the next item is a resolution exonerating the real estate tax collector from collection of uncollected taxes for the year 2021. This is a housekeeping item that we do each year. Mr. Fulkerson has highlighted in your packet the amount of real estate taxes we have not collected, which is a pretty low number as compared to other years, $175,271.37, which equates to about 98, 99% of real estate taxes collected, which is pretty good.
And it's not that we are forgiving these, actually, it just means that our department no longer is doing the collecting and it goes to our delinquent tax collector.
Which is Mr. Fulkerson, right.
Why are we not using him for this?
We do.
We are, just us.
We are.
Well, what are we
It's
talking about?
administrative.
Exonerating.
Well,
Yes.
there's certain responsibilities with respect to the current year taxes. And then when those taxes are overdue, they become delinquent. Then there are other rules for delinquent taxes. So we're taking these from the current bucket into the delinquent bucket, and then he'll continue to try and collect them.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, council?
I have a question here. I noticed this Sega Pro LLC. I know they bought a few homes in my neighborhood in their rental properties, and I think they bought plenty of them through Monroeville, all the different subdivisions. I was just wondering how they're, delinquent on taxes. I mean,
Mr. Adams, what was the name of it again?
I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. It's, looks not a page number on here, Nick.
That'd be the better way.
It's the last one, Mike?
Segabepo LLC. I believe, I've looked them up. I believe it's Second Avenue Properties. They're out of Chicago, but this is the name they go by. When they bought I had questions, just looking at the real estate sections when these houses were sold.
Yeah, they've obviously taken over ownership, and, they still get individual bills on all the properties. And so there are just some of them where, for one reason or another, they haven't paid them. So Pat's going to have to know, Fulkerson is now going to have to attempt to collect them as delinquent taxes, just for whatever reason they've not paid.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just have to point that one out. I mean, the tax office and Mr. Fulkerson, they certainly know
I think
this.
they own about 30 properties
Is that right?
in Monroeville, yeah, now. All rental units.
Yeah.
And they're single-family homes, in, like I said, in the subdivisions.
Okay. Any other questions or comments, council? Seeing none, moving over to our ordinances, we have one for Tuesday. Mr. Ratcher, please.
An ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville, Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, amending ordinance number 2689 to revise the pollution control and flood reduction credit manual rules and regulations. This is an ordinance that's been on the table for several months. This has to do with a potential settlement we're trying to work out with CBL Properties, who owns the mall, and it's taking longer than we thought it would. I think what I'm going to recommend to council is that you have this removed from the agenda. Take it off the table on Tuesday night, remove it from the agenda. CBL is still interested in trying to get this worked out. They're doing a little bit deeper dive. It's taking them longer than they thought it would. So I think for now, the best thing to do is just take it off the agenda till they're ready. And then in the event that they're ready, we'll present the whole thing to council, and you can decide if you think it's a good idea.
So, Mr. Ratcher, procedurally, the best thing since it's tabled to actually remove from the table at the Tuesday meeting.
Right. And then just direct that it be removed from the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Questions, council? Seeing none, we'll move over to reports of our municipal staff. Mr. Ratcher, if you have the floor.
Nothing, Mayor, thank you.
All right. Mr. Little.
Yeah, I have several things. The first one is probably the most important. And this goes back about 2 years. Back in 2020, we had a new roof put on the municipal building. This I was talking about capital improvements. And you needed a new roof. We started to have some leaks, and they started to get serious, so we did it. We haven't had a leak since, and it was good. But at that time, we knew we were going to have to replace, and we had been doing it. We were thinking about doing it on a piecemeal basis. We have 14 HVAC units on this roof. All right, and we thought about doing that before the roof, but the roof was more critical because we had leaks, so we did that. Well, now I believe has come the time, because Mr. Hugus and Mr. Strom, our Public Works Supervisor, came to me a couple months ago and gave me a proposal from 2D Mechanical Systems, and council has a copy of this, which is not in your packet, but is outside your packet. We have a proposal to put in 14 units, and I told, before we moved ahead with this, I said to Paul and Mike, I said, I want to make sure council is aware of this. We have 14 units, and we have a proposal which is on CoStar, and the CoStar number is in the proposal for $356,850. Now, the issue we have that is critical is we cannot get parts for the units up there anymore. John Float, our HVAC expert on staff, has told me that going back 2-3 months ago. We can't get parts up there for any more of the units. Some of the parts for the last 4 or 5 years, he's been keeping together with bubble gum and
Baling wire?
and baling wire, exactly. Now, in addition to that, 2D, in conjunction with Constellation, our electrical supplier, has given us a proposal to change all of our lights in the municipal building to LED. And that would cost us $59,750, or we could do it on a per-month basis, which would come with our electric bill each month for 60 months. Now, there's an analysis that is the last page here, and this would save us approximately, estimated about, annual energy dollar in about the middle of the page there. Annual savings from new supply rate about $20,000. We'd be spending about $59,000. It'd take about 3-4 years to get our money back. And I would recommend to council that we move ahead with this. And any questions or comments from council?
Well,
That's pretty reasonable.
you and I looked into the streetlights some months ago and realized that a street light, regular lights, would, instead of costing $11.76 a month, it went down to $5.75.
Right. Yeah, Jamie-
So these
Jamie-
LED lights save a lot of money in the long run.
Yeah,
They-
Jamie's
they
done an
last forever.
extensive study on that, and we started that program with Duquesne Light several years ago. So unless council has any questions or anything about it, so I was gonna move ahead with this, I just wanted council to be aware of it unless they had any questions or.
And that would only be in the municipal building?
Correct. That would be just the municipal building right now.
Tim, I believe,
We're
since we're a
talking both of
government,
these items, Tim?
Yes, yes.
I support that.
we're a government entity, I think we get federal money, a rebate.
Yeah, well, that's in that analysis right there. The Act 129 utility rebate, if my memory serves me correctly, dates back to 2008, where that was passed by the state, and Tootie said that they would submit all of the required documents for us to get the rebate, which is outlined in the analysis here. The PJM rebate, I don't know what the acronym stands for, but PJM, it's a consortium of electrical companies that have virtually the whole Mid-Atlantic states. And you get a rebate from them, which is smaller than a $4,000 rebate. So that would all be, that's all calculated in there, Mike.
Who's our electric supplier that we use up here in Industrial Park, James?
Cardello?
Cordella. Pretty sure the municipal authority just got 3 or 4 pallets full of LED lights for $1 a piece.
Yeah,
through
actually,
the-
Mike Strom just had a gentleman from Cardello in today talk about that. It's a Duquesne Light rebate program. So we're actually, I know Mike's looking at the Public Works Garage as well as the Public Safety Training Center, and I'm not sure where else. That might not be the only one.
I think when Dawn was there, we did put them in Public Works Garage with the high bay
Right.
lights,
Yeah.
where Duquesne Light did rebate us.
Right. So yeah, plans are afoot, I guess, for elsewhere, but Tim's just talking about the municipal
And
building.
senior center and library?
I'm not sure
I
exactly
mean,
where they're
just
looking at,
in
but
passing.
it seems logical.
I should ask that in a better question. You know what? Probably should also look at senior center and the library too. Rest of our building and structures.
Look at all of our buildings.
Yeah, then all of them, right, Tim? I mean,
Yeah, well, yeah, the senior center is in the library, the senior center is next on that. I mean, where, Paul and Mike Strom, they're doing a good job, and Jamie too, I mean, obviously, doing a good job of getting what needs to be done in these buildings. And the roof was a pretty obvious
Oh, yeah.
one. You know, it was okay for a while, like in 2018, where we didn't have any leaks, probably because we didn't have, any kind of rain with wind. When we started getting rain with about 15-mile-an-hour winds, I noticed through the years, that's when we'd start get the leak. I had one in my office, Darlene Cole had one in her office, and there were obviously several other ones. So it had to be done.
Has to be done. You're right. Council, any other questions or comments?
I have one. I know the units usually are fastened to the roof in one point. Now, when they lift those units up, are you gonna have to call back the roofing
No,
company to do?
no, we
that?
talked to the roofing, very good question. We talked to the roofing company about that when we had a pre-construction meeting, even before we set out for bids. And we had the architect here from MS Consultants, and that question came up because that was one of the reasons I was gonna hold off on doing the roof, but I didn't want to because it was leaking. Now, this was that very, very hot, it was in 20, it was a very, very hot summer when they started it, and the pandemic was in full swing. Of course, in that summer, it kind of ebbed off. And that was the question we had, and maybe, it was right about 2 years ago, right at this time.
So when they remove them, are they gonna be
No, yeah,
responsible for
they
that?
said it didn't make any difference.
Okay.
Didn't make any difference.
All right.
Very good. Next item, Mr.
Okay, next item is the 5-year capital
Mr.
improvement.
Little, before you go on, I got a question on this air conditioning, 14 units.
Yeah.
It boggles my mind that this building would need 14 units, and this is probably engineered that that's what it needs, but that's my question. Do we need 14 units?
Yeah, we can't get any parts for them.
No. I'm saying, do we need 14 units on this building, or do we need 10?
Well, I'm not an engineer, but I would think that you would need somebody to do an analysis on that if you could And then I would think, looking at it from a logical perspective, then maybe you would need ductwork changed.
Okay.
And I don't think we want to go down that road,
All right.
you know. Would be, I mean, I'm not an expert on it, but that's just me thinking kind of logically. If you're going to reduce down to 10 units, are you going to have to take the units where the ductwork is with units you aren't going to use, and then have to put in other ductwork?
And those 10 units have to work harder now?
But they make bigger units that could supply that unit.
Well, the new units are to take less energy too.
Right. I know where you're going with that, Bob. Yeah.
I was just asking, the engineers say we need them. That, I'm not an engineer either, but it just boggles my mind that we have 14 air conditioning units, almost like the whole building used to have an air conditioning down the county. They got an air conditioning unit in every window. Got one in your window?
Well, I mean, your point is well taken, because you would think after 21 years, that's how old this building is, the units you have now are more efficient. So that's your that's your thought, and it's logical. Well, okay, that's well and fine, but the ductwork is gonna have to be changed. And to the mayor's point, the units we do put up there, they're gonna be more efficient, they won't work, and hopefully they'll last 30 years instead of 20 years, hopefully.
Well, I would assume that Tootie and the company, Mr. Strawn, Mr. Hugus, Mr. Float, they would have discussed all this as well. But even whenever you replace your residential furnace, you still put in one furnace, but it's a lot smaller and it's more efficient, and maybe that's the same case here.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, 5-year capital improvement program, which staff has been working on for quite a while, and we're at the finish line, more so with the expenses, and Josie and I are going to be talking about how to fund everything, which is obviously the big item. But I just wanted to inform council that my timeline here is I'm prepared to possibly start to set up public hearings for our capital improvement program in May. So I just wanted to let council know about that, because under the Home Rule Charter, we have to have at least one public hearing, and I would suspect we're going to have a lot more than that. And it'll be in the same format as we do with the budget hearings for the operational budget. The department heads will be giving their presentation on their 5-year capital items. And we have a real boing of a number, as I like to tell Josie, that, but it needs to be in front of you so you know what is needed. And again, to repeat what Mike Strom and Jamie and Paul Hugus, and with respect to just buildings, and not just buildings, but putting together everything that is needed. Now, as I always like to say, and everybody on the staff knows that, there's needs and wants. A roof is a need. HVAC is a need. It's not a want, but there may be some things on there that are going to have to be paired, and in order to get it down to a sizable amount. Any questions on that?
Nope, we'll see how that goes in May, but it's definitely been a long time coming. I think, I think the department heads and Mr. Little, you're off, Ms. Rock, I think, been doing a great job up to this point, essentially doing capital budget in a regular budget. And we have to invest in our community, absolutely. But, so one step at a time.
Okay, next item is summer employees. We only have 6 applicants for summer employees, and usually we have what, about 30?
We're lucky.
Well, I'm going back 10 years ago or so. It's just an issue that everybody in America, any employer is, although I have heard on the news in recent weeks, that's starting to ebb a little bit. We haven't seen any kind of notions of that, but I'm encouraging anybody who is going into college, being a senior, who is in college, and you're looking for seasonal work, it's $14 an hour, which I think is pretty good.
And they have to be college-bound students.
Correct.
Or in college.
That's
Trade
what-
school.
Yeah.
Could they be in a trade school?
No, it has to be going to college. Now, you guys could revisit this, because, like I was talking to Tim today, we are having trouble getting people now. So
So
we might want to widen it a little.
well, that's the kind of, maybe the road was going down. What,
Sure, let's,
is that our rule that,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's no.
Can we revisit this at executive session on Thursday? Or
it's not-
Tuesday of next week?
That's more of a public discussion.
Yeah, it's more of a public discussion. It's not necessarily an executive session discussion. It's a policy decision, so it's up to.
It's not an ordinance.
Council wants to,
Okay.
you know.
We
want
just
to-
raised it up to $14.
Yeah, you did. You raised it up, so.
Yes.
But is there anything that limits us from,
Opening up the,
opening it for maybe part-time work, or are there age restrictions?
Well, if you're in high school, the working papers come in play as to what they can do, how long they can work, depending on their age.
But what about a high school graduate that's 18, 19, that doesn't really know what they want to do?
can't find a
You gotta
job.
watch that, because then you run into unemployment. If they
Is that the
work
reason that we
Oh.
have kept it
And
that
then
way?
they don't go anywhere, and they work for us, they can actually apply for unemployment.
Should they have,
What, after 3 months?
would they have a college acceptance letter in order to be?
What prevents a college-bound student from collecting unemployment?
They probably
Seasonal.
could.
Because they're seasonal?
They're seasonal, yeah.
Why can't we make them seasonal?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think maybe we should just need to revisit this whole thing. It might be, if we're only had a few applicants, and let's maybe look into what we can do and what we're able to do, and
100 years
Get
ago,
more
they
help.
used to take kids right out of high school, whether they were going to college or not.
Yeah.
I remember when I did it, I went through Manpower. I don't know if that's something we can look into, employment
We
agency.
did have some Manpower, I think it was Manpower, yeah.
Municipal.
Several years ago, yeah. And I don't know what happened to the program. They would come around. We had some good ones. We had some clinkers, I'll be very honest.
Get that everywhere.
I went to two. Joe, you went, that was Manpower, wasn't it?
No.
No?
Yeah, that was through the county, of the Manpower, though.
That wasn't the Manpower? I thought that was the Manpower, because you went to a meeting and I went to a meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they had to have supervisors with them, and,
yeah.
yeah, they weren't very good workers.
Yeah.
Like you were here when
Yeah.
we had those kids.
There was one girl
Yeah, that was the
sleeping upstairs.
county-run program.
So we just raised this to $14 an hour just recently, within 2 months, right?
and we got less applicants.
Okay, so I was gonna say, why don't we wait and see what kind of applicants we get, and maybe open it up. I mean, I agree with you. Maybe we need to revisit this too.
All right.
Well, we'll continue to get the word out there. I mean, this is on our website. We'll get it posted on Facebook and our social media sites, and see if we can get more interested kids. I'm assuming the school district, we've made them aware of this,
Yeah.
so they can put skyward announcements, things of that nature.
Put it on our billboard out there, 48 and 22.
Next item, Mr. Little.
Yeah, we have the triannual, we have this 3 times a year about household hazardous waste and electronic collection event, April 16th at the Public Works Building on Star Avenue.
Is there a
Item number-
charge for that? Is there a cost?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's on the information is on the website. I have a flyer here, just in case.
Jared has it.
Registration is encouraged, and we have that on our website for the registration. Rates are 25 cents a pound for Freon, 50 cents a pound for television and monitors, 30 cents a pound for all electronics, 54 cents a pound for paint, 65 cents for bulbs and battery, 86 cents for chemicals, and $4 each for propane cylinders of all sizes. Okay?
Very good. Next item.
Okay, next item is an FYI for Council. Tricog Land Bank has a proposed property dispositions. One is at 451 Blackberry Drive, and one is at 252 Azalea Drive. And their letter is in your packet notifying us. I like to put this on the agenda so council is aware.
Very good.
Okay, and last but certainly not least is the Jack Sedlak Memorial Cleanup Day on Saturday, April 30th at 9 a.m. Joe, any comments on that?
We're approaching 100 people signed up. We need about 4 times that amount, because it's the worst I've ever seen it out there, and I'm sure everybody sees the
Yeah,
same
I
thing.
agree with you. It is bad.
And, we're gonna have a lot of nice prizes this year, because the sponsors really came through, so, tell the kids, a lot of gifts to give out, so, but they gotta clean up first.
Absolutely. And I think someone mentioned too, like some of the high school requirements for graduation, some of the requirements for maybe some of the churches, confirmation, things of that nature. Kids need to get credit hours. This would count towards that. I'd be happy to sign off on anything that any kid needs there if they want to dedicate some time to this great event. So the information's on our website and also by scanning the QR code that you see on your screen right now. Very good. Anything else for this evening, Mr. Little?
I believe that concludes my report.
Very good. Mr. Story, do you have anything this evening?
I've got nothing.
All right. Ms. Rock?
I have nothing tonight.
Excellent. Moving over to our reports of our council members, Mr. Hizzy.
I have none.
Mr. Poach.
Just one thing for this evening. Condolences to one of our retired police officers, Bill McClellan. His sister Kathy, who's in school with, New Mayor, just passed away on Sunday. He did that at 63. To that as well, too. So my sympathies to Bill and his family, the rest of them, and otherwise, nothing else.
Thank you, Mr. Poach. Mr. Stevenson.
I have two items. The first one is, I met with the Police Civil Service Board, and they're moving forward with the applicants to present to council for hiring new police officers. That'll be coming in the next, probably at the next meeting.
Yeah, probably, that will probably be on the agenda for Tuesday.
I also met with the Police Pension Board and their representatives that take care of their money. And, wow, they're doing a good job. They're getting a lot more than the bank's giving us, I'll tell you that. I also met with the Monroeville Foundation, and they're moving along with their projects, the Jazz Festival, the golf tournament, Monroeville Day, I think. I think they have 4 different things.
Community Day.
Community Day and the pumpkin race.
And the pumpkin race. So they're moving along with those, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. Mr. Wolfram.
I have nothing, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, though.
Thank you, Mr. Adams.
Nothing, Mayor.
Mr. Williams.
Yeah, we had some people from the library here tonight. Love your library, and if you go over there, they renovated the front of the library. Sidewalk, driveway. I'm impressed with the water flow on that new driveway, the way they engineered it. But anyhow, if you haven't seen it, go over there and have a look at our library. It's a great library. Another thing is, I talked to Markosik's office a couple months ago, and he told me that Route 22 is going to be completely renovated in the next year or so. So them ugly medians and the busted curbs, and they continually go out and they clean up the debris. But it's deplorable for Monroeville to have an eyesore like that running down 22. But they do have plans of renovation, maybe even this summer. I'm not sure on that. That's all I have, Mr.
Great.
Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Biondo.
Yeah, I'd agree with Bob as far as the library looking great. Just in honor of Library Week, we recently went there for a children's room story time. The children's room looks great, and they're doing a great job over there at the library. That's all I have.
Very good, thank you. And I'll just end by, if we could, Mr. Lee, on behalf of the resident that was here earlier, I was trying to get to the bottom of maybe the questioning that they have. Can we maybe explore to see if Sunoco has any reports that they furnish to the state or municipality regarding that pipeline, just so we can kind of settle this whole matter here regarding that pipeline?
I would have a question, maybe Mr. Ratcher may know. The PUC would regulate that, wouldn't they?
That might be FERC if it's interstate.
It's DOT. I just had their website up. There's a way to look at it. DOT regulates all interstate transportation of flammable liquids as well.
DOT does.
Yeah, but they
there's
might
a
also
state-
be under the federal regulations, which are, it's FERC, it's an acronym, FERC, I forget.
Yeah, okay.
What
But they
it
have a
stands for.
reporting
You might be
mechanism.
right on. I
Yeah.
think they had that, yeah.
But the other thing is, and I may be just misinformed on this, but I'm just thinking about the geography. I'm not certain that that's the same line as the one that runs past Mrs. Woodhull's house.
there's more than one line that comes through the municipality. I'm not sure that's the same line.
Okay.
And I would agree with you, because the line that crosses over Haymaker Road, it crosses over adjacent to Heritage Park and goes through Turnpike Gardens and then
Correct.
heads that way.
Yeah.
That is nowhere, that crossing point,
I think that letter-
that's nowhere near the bottom of Haymaker Road.
The letter she had stated the neighborhoods it went through from, you know, it's
That's
basically along.
But there's a database
Yeah,
through the D.
I just
There is.
saying,
There's a
just make sure
database
it's the same
that, let's
one.
just figure this out, just so we can help get her
So
questions
you saw the
answered.
DOT.
Yeah, just, I mean, just searched it, I had some
All right.
up too, and then you have to put in the locations. I mean, there's some,
I think it's
digging
in the-
through our
it's in the-
GIS information would be
We're
helpful
like
for it. I mean,
1,200
there's,
pounds pressure.
fine, but it has to be mapped and ID'd, because at that point, one of the Sunoco lines that runs under Catalina Holy Cross the whole way through Heritage Park and stuff, in case, also regularly Sunoco informs the fire department about it. And the even referenced in the document from a few years, from the 1980s, said, oh, the fire department was giving keys to the facility that's in the 2600 block of Haymaker between Princeton and
Yeah, you can see it right,
Bowling
you can
Green.
see it right from the
Yeah,
road.
so, because that was also regulated too. So, I agree with Bob, I don't think those are all necessarily the same things. However, I'm not sure we're making everyone clear what's the intent of what's in the park. It's a monitoring device.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I'm not sure where, and if it's a public education, it's okay. I mean, you know, we can
Right.
get some information out to our website and stuff too. And if that's being affected, ergo then it means check the other, you know, look to the other pipelines and whatnot. That's, seems to be what the intent was. That's what I took back from them. It's a monitoring device, and like Jamie was saying, it spreads over, and Paul, I'm sorry, was saying it spreads over a larger area that we're talking about. Hey, if there's indications of a problem here, you may have problems there, up for inspection, and so on and so forth. And we're talking about patrol, that's why I asked the question, petroleum transport lines, because there are some natural gas transport lines too.
Correct.
Yeah, which I think is PUC. It's not DOT. Petroleum's clearly a federal piece of that. It's Department of Transportation regulates the pipelines. I
Right.
passed it on a test once.
Gas is federal if it goes through more than one state. It's the same way.
Right.
When you
That's
pass
what
through
it
more
is.
than one state, it becomes federal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just want to clear up that confusion.
Okay.
So that's all I have for this evening. I'd like to seek a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This meeting is adjourned.
Yeah, that's.
Good evening.